Hello, my dear friend. Have you ever woken up in the dead of night, heart pounding, not from a nightmare, but from the invisible pressure of tomorrow? It might be the fear of losing the job that defines your worth, or the fear of facing a crack that is growing in a relationship you deeply cherish. We often live like prisoners held captive by fear. It whispers that you are not good enough, that you are not safe. But try asking yourself just once, how brilliant and free would your life be if fear no longer held the power to control your steps? Today, let us sit together, take a deep breath, and explore 6 lessons of wisdom from the Buddha. These lessons do not teach you how to run away, but empower you to see through fear, finding the clarity and peace inherent in your soul. Lesson 1. Embrace impermanence. Anicca. My dear friend, to decode fear, first we must find its deepest root. Why are we afraid? Deep within our consciousness, humans always crave stability. We want our loved ones to stay by our side forever. We want this job to be eternal. We want our health never to fade. We build castles on sand and deceive ourselves that the ocean waves will never touch them. It is this clinging to the illusion that things will not change that gives birth to fear. Because life, by its very nature, is a ceaseless flow. In Buddhism, this truth is called impermanence, Anicca. Imagine your life as a great river. The water is always flowing, moving, and changing every second. Your fear is like being in the middle of that river, but instead of relaxing to flow with the current, you panic and try to cling tightly to a rock, or try to build a dam to stop the water. You strain yourself against the natural flow. That resistance creates pressure, exhaustion, and the terrifying thought, if I let go, I will be swept away and lose everything. Let's look at a very real fear many of us face, the fear of losing a job or losing social status. When you define your worth by your title, by your salary, you will live in constant anxiety. Every change in the company, every fluctuation of the market makes you tremble. You fear that if you are no longer director, manager, or a successful person, then you will be no one. But listen to the voice of impermanence. The brilliant spring must eventually give way to the passionate summer, the gentle autumn, and the quiet winter. No season is eternal, and no season is wrong. Your career or relationships are the same. There are times of rising, times of settling, times of ending to open a new beginning. When you understand impermanence, you will realize fear does not come from change, but from your resistance to change. Instead of fearing loss, see it as transformation. When a job ends, it is not a full stop to your life, but a sign that a cycle is complete, and the river wants to take you to a new land, more suitable for the maturity of your soul. When a relationship changes, it is time to learn how to love without possessing, to cherish the present instead of worrying about the future. Accepting impermanence is not an attitude of giving up or apathy. It is the most courageous and wise attitude towards life. You know that every storm will pass, every pain will soothe. No night lasts forever. When you stop clinging to false stability, you will find a truer safety. That is the safety of a surfer. You no longer fear the wave because you know how to ride it. Relax the hands that are gripping the rock of fear and let the flow of life support you. You will find that you are much freer than you think. Lesson 2. See the illusion of fear. My dear friend, there is a shocking truth we need to recognize. Fear often brings a very real sensation. Your heart beats fast. Your hands sweat. Your stomach tightens. But feeling real does not mean it is the truth. In most cases, fear is just a masterful product of the imagination. Let's do a small experiment in our minds. Imagine you are standing on a sheer vertical cliff or on a transparent glass floor on the 100th story of a skyscraper. Even though you know for certain the glass is absolutely safe and unbreakable, when looking down into the abyss below, your legs still tremble and your heart still skips a beat in panic. Why? Because your mind is not living with the safe reality of the glass. It is living with a story it paints for itself, the story of falling. Fear in life works exactly the same way. When you worry about the future, about failure, or about loneliness, you are reacting to a horror movie playing in your head, not reacting to the reality unfolding. Here, Buddhist wisdom hands us a golden key, which is the concept of non-self, anatta, and detachment. We often make the mistake of identifying ourselves with our emotions. When fear rushes in, we rush to believe, I am a coward, I am afraid. But remember the image of the sky and the clouds. You are the vast sky of awareness, and fear is just a dark cloud passing by. The cloud is not the sky. Fear is not you. Fear is like a shadow. It can only become huge and terrifying when you turn your back on the light and run away. But when you bravely turn around, using the light of awareness to shine upon it, that shadow will vanish. Fear cannot exist under the light of clear recognition. Practice. To dismantle this illusion, the next time fear appears, please do not run away or judge yourself. Try practicing the technique of naming and observing. Instead of saying, I am so scared, take a deep breath and rephrase the sentence in your mind to, I notice a feeling of fear arising within me. This small change in language creates a huge distance. You step out of the victim role to become the observer. Look at fear as you would look at a crying child, with tolerance and calmness. When you see it as just a psychological phenomenon, a passing thought and not a monster, it will automatically shrink and lose its power to control you. You are the clear awareness standing behind all those emotions. Lesson 3. Mindfulness, the anchor of the present. My dear friend, if you observe closely, you will see that fear is like a time traveler. It rarely lives in the present. It always drags you back to the past with old wounds, or flings you into the future with terrible scenarios that haven't happened. To escape this pull, the Buddha gave us a core practice, recorded in the Satipatthana Sutta, which is mindfulness, sati, or simply returning to take refuge in the body. Why the body? Because the mind can lie to you, but the body never does. When fear strikes, before you even realize the thought, the body has already reacted. The heart beats like a drum, the breath becomes shallow and rapid, the shoulders tense up, or the stomach churns. Those are the silent cries for help from the body. Instead of getting swept away by the scary story in your head about what will happen next, shift your attention down to your body. Use the breath as the most solid anchor. Right now, try practicing with me. When you feel uneasy, do not try to drive it away. Stop and take a deep breath. Observe the breath coming in and going out. Feel the rising and falling of the belly, the lifting and lowering of the chest. Then gently scan your attention across your body. Do you notice your heart beating fast? Do you notice your throat tightening? Look at those sensations like a stranger visiting. Do not judge them as good or bad. Do not try to force the heart to slow down. Just recognize that, the heart is beating fast, the breath is short. That gentle recognition is mindfulness. When you place your attention on the breath and sensations in the body, you cut off the energy source that is feeding the deductions in your head. You create a safe distance between you and the fear. You are no longer the person panicking. You become the person calmly observing the panic. And in that silence of observation, the storm will gradually dissipate, returning to you the inherent stillness of the lake of consciousness. Lesson 4. Understand the nature of suffering, dukkha. My dear friend, there is an irony about fear. It often makes us feel utterly lonely. When afraid, we tend to withdraw and believe that only we are weak, only we are struggling, while the whole world out there seems strong and peaceful. But the Buddha, with great wisdom, pointed out the first noble truth. That is dukkha, the truth that suffering is an inevitable and universal part of the human experience. And fear, in essence, is just one form of that suffering. Look around you. No one in this world is immune to fear. The successful person fears failure and losing their reputation. The mother fears her child stumbling or getting sick. The elderly fear illness and death. Even those who look the bravest carry their own private burdens. When you understand that fear is a shared human experience, you will lighten the burden of self-blame. You are not broken. You are just being human. But why does fear turn into lingering suffering? The Buddha taught that the root of suffering lies in tanha, or craving. Fear is actually the flip side of the coin called craving. Because we crave absolute safety in an impermanent world, we generate fear of risk. Because we crave recognition from others, we generate fear of judgment. The gap between what we want and the reality unfolding is where fear resides. For example, when you fear losing a relationship, it is because you are clinging to the craving to possess that person forever. When you fear unemployment, it is because you are clinging to the stability of income. Understanding this, you will see fear not as an enemy coming from outside to attack you, but as a signal telling you that inside there is a clinging that needs to be released. Instead of hating fear, look at it with eyes of compassion and understanding, as you would look at a companion who is hurt on this journey of life. Lesson 5. Let go of attachment. My dear friend, once we understand that craving births suffering, this fifth lesson is the most powerful antidote: learning to let go of attachment. There is a huge misunderstanding we need to clarify immediately. Many people think that non-attachment in Buddhism means becoming cold, unfeeling, or giving up on life. Please do not misunderstand. Non-attachment does not mean you stop loving or stop striving. It means you cherish the flower blooming brilliantly before your eyes. You care for it with all your heart, but you do not arouse the desire to pluck it and put it in your pocket to possess it forever. And you calmly accept the truth that it will fade when the sun goes down. Fear arises when we attach too tightly to a specific outcome, to a person, or to a title. Let's look at a painful example in relationships. When you love someone but attach to them fiercely, the fear of loss will creep into every happy day. You start to control, to get jealous, and to worry whenever they don't text. You think, if I don't have this person, I can't live. That very attachment turns love, which is inherently freedom, into a suffocating prison for both. And paradoxically, that very fear is often the cause that pushes people away from you faster. Or in work, if you cling to the title of manager or successful person to define your human value, then every fluctuation of the company, every criticism from the boss, becomes a nightmare threatening your existence. The secret to overcoming this fear is to realize our true authority. We only have control over the act of sowing seeds and caring for them. But we absolutely have no control over when the tree bears fruit or which storm will pass by. To help you feel the lightness of letting go, I invite you to perform a small movement right now. Clench both hands into fists. Squeeze tight. Do you feel the muscles tense, fingernails digging into the skin, and breath being held? That is the state of attachment. Now slowly open your hands. Turn your palms to the sky. Relax completely. How do you feel? Blood flows again, breath is lighter, and your hands are ready to receive whatever falls. That is the state of non-attachment. Next time, when the fear of loss strikes, remember the image of open hands. Tell yourself, I have done my best, and now I let go so life can flow according to its own rhythm. When you no longer try to grip tight, fears will have no place to hold on. You will work, you will love with a spirit that is free and most brilliant. Lesson 6. Cultivate patience. Kanti. My dear friend, after we have learned to let go of attachment, a gap often appears. That is the time in between, when the old has passed, but the new has not yet arrived. This is exactly when fear easily rises most powerfully in the form of panic over uncertainty. We are afraid because we do not know what will happen next. The human mind craves certainty. It wants to know the answer now, wants the result now. When there is no answer, we feel adrift and insecure. And the only antidote for this state is patience, or in Sanskrit, Kanti. Patience here is not passive resignation or gritting your teeth to endure pain. In Buddhist wisdom, patience is an extraordinary inner strength. It is the ability to sit still with discomfort, without reacting with anger or fear. It is the ability to keep your mind quiet, even when the external circumstances are chaotic, and there is no clear way out yet. Imagine a wound on the flesh. No matter how impatient you are, no matter how much good medicine you apply, that wound still needs a certain amount of time for cells to reconnect and skin to heal. You cannot force it to heal instantly. If you keep touching it, peeling off the scab to see if it has healed, you only make it bleed more and leave a bad scar. Your fears and heart wounds are exactly the same. They need time to be transformed. Impatience often leads to cruel self-judgment. When you see yourself still anxious, still sad after a period of practice, you start to blame yourself. Why am I so weak? Why am I still not okay? My dear friend, please be gentle with yourself. Healing is not a straight line up. It is a spiral path. There are days you feel very okay, but there are also days the wave of fear returns. That is not failure. That is part of the process. Patience is the highest form of compassion for oneself. It means you allow yourself to be an imperfect human. You allow yourself to be scared, to be worried, but you do not let that fear drive you to wrong actions. You accept sitting with that insecurity, breathing with it, and trusting that just as the cold winter must eventually give way to the warm spring, this psychological state will also change. Look at nature. A tree never rushes to bloom when there is not enough warmth. A river never rushes to the sea when it hasn't gathered enough source water. Everything has its own rhythm. When you learn the lesson of patience, You will stop straining to race against time. You will find a strange peace right in the midst of the unknown. Instead of panicking and asking, "What will happen next?" take a deep breath and tell yourself, "Whatever happens, I will have enough strength to face it. Right now, I choose peace." When you stop fighting time, the fear of the future will automatically vanish, giving way to the steadiness of the present. That is the gift of Kanti. My dear friend, the journey to overcome fear is not a war to destroy an enemy, but a journey to light the lamp of understanding. Please do not expect fear to disappear forever, for it is a natural part of the human experience. Instead, hope that you have enough wisdom to see impermanence, enough mindfulness to recognize illusions, and enough patience to sit still with the storms of the heart without being swept away. When you stop running away and turn back to face fear with compassion, you will see it is no longer a monster, but just a dark cloud fading before the sunlight. If today's sharings have brought you a little courage and peace, please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. That is not just support, but a pledge that you will continue to walk with us on the path of cultivating inner strength. Please leave a comment sharing about a fear you are determined to let go of today. And always remember, the darkness of fear only exists when you turn your back on the light. Turn around, smile, and realize you are much stronger than your fear. Goodbye, and see you again in peace.